going to be about capitalizing in your 20s, taking advantage of the time that you have on your hand. And, the reason why I say this is because, and I'm going to kind of give you some tips throughout this video to implement into your life. If you're young, I think that you will definitely get a lot of value out of this. I say this because the reality is that as you get older, 35, 45, 55, life kind of, just naturally you get more responsibilities, right? Married, kids, you have more financial weight, financial responsibility to carry with you. You're going to be taking care of your health more. There's going to be a lot of things that you're going to have on your plate, especially as a man, if you want to be a provider for your family. It kind of just gets more difficult from that point. So, at the time that you're younger, you should really try to capitalize on this the best you can, because you can go and go out to the club, have fun in your 20s, party, drink it up, have a great time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But where it becomes challenging is if you spent your entire 20s doing that, and then you're going to expect your 30s, 40s, and 50s to be smooth sailing. Well, that's where you messed up, my friend. Typically people who take the time in their 20s and they're investing in themselves, they're working on their skill set, they're developing their financial discipline, and they're truly focused on their vision and goals, their 20s are a little bit underlived, meaning that they're not going out and doing a bunch of different things. They're focused. So that way 30, 40, 50, and the rest of their life, really, they put themselves in just a great position. So the uphill battles that they fight, they're not that difficult. They don't become as challenging because your level of discipline and wisdom and your advantage that you have it's just so much greater at that point. Meaning if you took those 10 years, in your 20s and you invested your money and you had financial discipline and you learned and you invested in your skill set, you're prepared for the next chapter in your life. You're ready, to fight those challenges head on, rather than going out there and kind of just, investing your time in other places that maybe won't set you up for success. So what I mean by this, and I'm not saying don't go out and have a good time, but it just depends on what your goals are, man. It really does. It depends on what your goals are. Some people's goals aren't as high, and they don't have the ambition and the dreams and the vision, that I want to have, and that some, young guys, young entrepreneurs, they have high goals. Some people don't have that. So listen, that's okay then. But where the problem lies is if you're ambitious and you're lazy, meaning that you have these high goals, but you're stuck in that rut and you're stuck in that pit. I would recommend, I wasn't a big reader, but I can tell you that reading has changed my life tremendously. And I would highly recommend that if you can, pick up a book to kind of, it gives you an advantage in the way where somebody's a 50-year-old successful CEO and you're 20 years old and you're embodying and you're reading every single book that this guy has and you're absorbing his knowledge. You're downloading his entire life within a couple weeks. The knowledge, the challenges, the adversity he overcame, the strategies, the tools, the philosophies. Like, if you can do that and just pick topics and subjects that are conducive to your goals in your life, the advantage that gives you is just tremendous, because nobody at this age is really doing that. They're kind of spending their time in other places, or they're lazy and they don't have the discipline to read and pick up the knowledge and the education. But the fact that that's even out there is almost like a cheat code. And this is why books are so powerful. Yeah, you can read fiction books. Those will help you with your creativity, but you're going to want to read books around your goals and your dreams and whatever you want to execute on. And as I coast through life, I've realized that, I don't want to say coast. As time goes on and I'm getting into my late 20s, I'm realizing that there's different chapters, right? Maybe earlier in your teenage life, you want to learn about money, you want to learn about financial discipline, And then as you get older, you may have a job opportunity where you're going to be having a leadership position. So you transition that, you want to study leadership, and then maybe you become a father. You're going to transition that and study fatherhood. So it kind of all depends on what chapter of life that you're in. So to kind of zoom out, bigger picture here, study, educate yourself, give yourself value and tools and tips that you can apply and take from these successful people that have been through the challenges and adversity and put it into your life, man. I mean, that just gives you such an edge and an advantage. The next thing would be definitely physical, and I talk about this all the time. Physical, you need physical discipline. You need to be in decent shape, man. You have to be able to have energy to execute on the things that you're learning and the things that you are downloading from these successful individuals. You got to execute on that, and that would go into the next thing, man. It would be getting a mentor. If you have the financial backing and if you're in a position where you want to achieve your goals fast on a quick time frame, in that case, I would recommend getting somebody that has been there. Do your research on that person. Make sure that their goals align with your goals. Make sure that that person is living a life that you want to live, and go out there, man, and get that mentorship and learn the skill set, learn the experience from someone who has been there. Now, it kind of plays hand in hand, because you can read all the books you want and download that information, but if you're not executing on those things, then it becomes just a big library of knowledge and no action plan, no execution. It would actually waste your time to continue reading books if you're not executing on the things that you're learning. So this is why I think that hiring a mentor or working with somebody who is at that level can give you a lot of accountability to go out and execute on these things that you're learning. I mean, listen, if you instill those together, downloading the knowledge, keeping your body and your mind in good shape to have high energy, to be high performance, getting a mentor that can hold you accountable, someone who's been there and done that, and kind of helping you execute. I mean, like, you're going to be in a very good position. So I would highly recommend at least 1 to 2 of these. Keeping your body in shape is a bare minimum. Reading books, it's extremely affordable. Listening to books, and then when you're in a position, get yourself, if you can, a mentor, somebody who's been there, or work with someone who's at a high level, who's successful. Be around that energy, be around that environment. That's my message for today. Hope you got some value from this. Okay, if you're in your 20s and you want to make something of yourself, take this, and I can tell you, if you do what I tell you in this video, you're going to be putting yourself ahead of 99% of the young people in their 20s. So let's rock and roll, and I'll see you next time.